Hello, welcome to Jenny's Food Network. Alright, someone had commented on my video. My video was titled, My Thoughts on Domestic Violence. Let's see, personal space, I believe. Domestic violence, personal space, and intimacy. That's the title of the video. And someone had commented, I agree, and this was a good input about domestic violence. And since you are a mother, I would like to know about child abuse. So for child abuse situation, it's very broad, and things can be misunderstood. Like when you have children are so protected. They are so protected that anything that triggers anything that would be leading to any itty-bitty source of that's triggering as classified as abuse, you could be in very big trouble. Like, you have to be very careful, like just little things, like how when you have children, right, and for like your newborn's baby's first bath, or or your baby's first whatever, and for example, if your baby's taking a bath, and some people can report that you're showing too much nudity, on your infant in the photos. Anybody can report that, and you can get in big trouble, and then the children's services can come after you for that. So, just like when you're like, in public and stuff, you just have to be real careful about, what you say and do and stuff, because someone can view it the wrong way or misunderstand something, and they could so easily pick up the phone and just like contact authorities right away, and then you could be in big trouble for that. So you just have to be real careful on what you say and do, and just be aware that there's always someone watching, and just like when you're at home, someone can always hear you. Like if you live in a building with other neighbors, they can hear you. Even if you live in a single home, if your windows are open, people can walk by and hear loud screaming or something, or some accident happens in the home and a yell scream. Someone might think that is some domestic violence going on, and someone might just call the police right away, to double check your home. And it could be a lot of drama added when something little that could be misunderstood. So I mean, for children, child abuse could also be children who are out of shape or obese or overweight. That could be a form of child abuse too in people's eyes, where the parents are the ones who are buying the groceries. The parents are the ones who are cooking the foods, order food at restaurants. And if your children are out of shape or overweight, that could be a form of child abuse that people may view it as, that you're not watching your children's health, you're damaging their health. It's going to lead them for early diabetes. Even under the age of 10 years old, a child could be very overweight and obese and be diabetic. And more children under the age of 10, the rates have increased, in being obese. And being obese can lead to heart disease and a lot of forms of cancer as well. So just be very careful about, your children's well-being, because if people feel that, you're not feeding your kids properly, they could see that as starvation, and they can call authorities on you. Or sometimes you may have nosy neighbors that live near you in the same building, or you have nosy neighbors even if they live across the street from you. You never know. Children are very highly protected, and you have to be very careful. One little thing, someone can misunderstand or take things the wrong way, or may see something that they feel that is very awful or child abuse. That's all it takes. Someone could just call the police on you. And what happens is that, in most cases where if you have the children's authority after you, the child safety authority, whatever, they can come after you, and it could be on your record for several years. It varies from state to state, I guess. So it could be as much as 7 years. It'll be on your record, and you will not be able to work at job positions that involve children. Like, for example, you won't be able to work at schools if you have a record where there was some child abuse or child neglect on your record, and it'll be on your record for about 7 years, in some states. I don't know about all states, but in Illinois it's 7 years. So you have to be careful, and you will not be able to work at a daycare or places that involve children. at a school or whatever, you know. So just be aware of that. I mean, if it's, and once it hits that amount of years, it's supposed to clear up, you know, off your record. But you know, but still, the record stuff, once it goes on your record, I feel that it's always going to be there. Someone could still always find something about you on your record, even if it clears up after 7 years, like a forgiveness thing. But I feel that it's always going to be there. If they try hard enough, they'll still find a record on you, even if it's something that happened 10 to 20 years ago. Who knows, right? So, and you know, and also even if you feed your children well, and if they have a very fast metabolism, but they're still so skinny, even if they eat a lot, you know, and they're very healthy and very strong, but they look very skinny, people might think that's abuse too, that you're not feeding your kids good enough, you know, because people are probably so used to these days with the high obesity rate of chubby or overweight kids. So when they see a kid that is skinny, they might think that the parents are not feeding them, when in actuality they are very healthy, they eat very well, they are very well nourished, they eat very well in fruits and vegetables. Like, for example, my kids, throughout all of my 5 pregnancies, I exercised up until the day I gave birth. So in that case, my children's birth rate, the birth weight will be about, you know, more about an average weight. They're not going to be like a big babies or whatever, I don't know. But in that case, I've always been exercising while I was pregnant up until the day that I gave birth. So my babies came out very light and about average weight, you know, around 6 pounds, you know, about at least 6 pounds. My first son, Brandon, he was the lightest. It's known to be that the first child will always be a little lighter than the babies later on. So Brandon was like almost 6 pounds. He was 5 point something ounces, and he was almost 6 pounds. So he was a tiny baby. But the other babies were over 6 pounds, almost 7 pounds. So thank God. I can't imagine having a 10 to 13 pound baby. That's too big for my tummy. So child abuse, it could be viewed differently from different people. And if you have a babysitter or they're at a child care like public place, like at a daycare or something, you know, you have to be really careful, because they can learn a lot of naughty stuff from other kids, or they may be very neglected because the employees there may be undertrained and not know what they're doing, or they may be very negligent and they may not be caring enough in their hearts to really watch the children properly and just want their paychecks, you know. So you have to deal with that too. Don't forget, you know, people could be very nice to your face, but behind your back they will not be taking care of your kids. Not just public services like daycares and stuff, but be careful, because if you hire a babysitter, you don't know what they do at your home. So to be extra careful, you could always have security cameras, hidden cameras for safety. And you always see, there's a lot of videos on YouTube where you see hidden cameras, and you'd be amazed all the child abuse that's going on. You know, and just watch out for your children if they have a change in behavior where it's very negative, and where they feel easily irritated after coming home from a daycare, or after you come home to the babysitter that's taking care of your kids. I mean, really watch your children's, you know, behavior and how they interact with the babysitter, or how they're like at the daycare. So it's up to you. So, and of course, you know, don't leave your children home unattended, because one little accident could lead to a fire, or, you know, they could choke, they could die. I mean, it's pretty scary, you know. So just be very careful and always have them with you. At least you'll always know that they're with you. And even if they're with you, you can go to a public place, and what if they get kidnapped, or what if they get lost? You know, what if you go to Six Flags, or what if you go to the carnival, or what if you go to like a grocery store or a shopping mall, and you lose your kids? They run off because they saw something and you thought they were following you, but then they disappeared. You don't know if someone kidnapped them, or you don't know if they left and went to another store to go look at toys. You don't know. So you really have to watch them, and make sure if you have more than one child that they hold hands, and make sure you're always watching and turn around that they're there. And if they can talk, make sure you're always looking and talk to the older children to see that they're holding the other kids' hands, and make sure that, you know, they're with you. They can easily get lost, they can easily get kidnapped, you know, and you don't want the situation of situation where your children become missing, and that's very hard to deal with. And I see everywhere I go, I see like a lot of child neglect. You see, okay, by law, any minor is a person's considered a minor if they're under 18. Even if they're 17 and a half years old, they're still considered by law a minor. And if you leave them at home, you can go to jail, and you can go to court and be penalized and be put in prison and just be in big trouble, okay? Even if your child is a grown person, even if your child is 17 and a half years old, 6 feet tall, there's children who grow very tall and look very grown. They know how to cook, clean, take care of themselves, and so on. But if they're left home alone, they're considered a minor as long as they're not 18 years old yet. And you can get in big trouble for that. In most cases, people will be like, oh, my kids are grown, they can watch themselves. They'll just leave them at home and by themselves with no adults or guardians to watch them. And there is a thing where some organizations will hold classes where a child, as long as a child is 12 years and older, that child can get certified to become like a certified babysitter, and they can actually get paid. And even if they are under 18, as long as they're certified with proper training and get a certificate, they can actually legally babysit other kids and get paid without getting in trouble. That's pretty interesting. And I believe like the YMCA would host that type of class, but I'm not sure if they still do. So it really depends. If you want to pull up, I guess you could type in certification for babysitters or babysitting licensing or something. You could type that in online and see what comes up in your area. So like I guess they'll teach them how to do CPR. They'll teach them how to do how to call 911 or how to resuscitate another child who is knocked out or whatever. Who knows? And how to use the first aid kit, probably. You know, all the safeties involved. So that's pretty interesting that is allowed. I'm not sure if it's allowed in all states, but like I said, you could do your research in your own hometown and see what's available in your area. And you know, child abuse, I mean, I see a lot of neglect where at the mall or at the grocery store or even at the shopping malls, even in public outside, you'll see a lot of children under the age of 18, even as young as under 10 years old, walking around by themselves or with a group of friends with no parents, no guardians, and no one calls the police on them, okay? So it just depends on who calls the police. So it's kind of a really messed up situation. I would even see plenty and lots of police cars with police officers driving around the neighborhood in different locations, and they pass by a bunch of minors with no parents, no guardians, 18 or older, to watch over them, and they don't get penalized. So the society is really jacked up. It just really depends on if someone's going to call the police on them, and then the police will do something about it. So that's a pretty jacked up situation. And also, you know, just there's a lot of situation of like child abuse, of like, you know, child molestation going on, or, you know, children could be molested by their parents, siblings, or relatives, you know, cousins, uncles, and aunts, or even grandparents could molest the children. So it's a pretty scary situation. And you know, if you're concerned about your children so much, then it's your effort to always be there and to help watch them carefully. And if you don't watch your kids much and someone else is always watching over them because you have to work or go out or do your own thing, who knows, it only takes a moment for your children to be molested, okay? It could be someone close to you, it could be a stranger, it could be anyone. It could be someone that you cannot even imagine would even do something like that, could be molesting your children. So if you're very concerned about your children's safety, it's best to just be there for them and be with them as much as you can. Because if they're no longer under your supervision, the responsibility falls on the other adults that help watch your children. And you have to be careful. Another thing besides your children being molested is another thing of being there to watch over your kids to make sure that they are not bullying other children and that other children are not bullying your children. So that's another important factor too, because if you're not there watching your kids, anybody could take advantage of them easily and bully them and hit them and, you know, pretty much molest them or do whatever they want to them. And it's even worse if your children can't talk yet, you know, if they're still too young or they don't talk much. And, you know, just gotta be extra careful. You know, it's pretty frightening about finding the right babysitter who's committed and who's a really honestly a good person who will do the best they can to watch your kids. But don't forget, it doesn't even have to be an outside stranger babysitter watching your kids. It could be your family members that are babysitting your kids that could be very negligent and careless and heartless. You never know. You're not there to watch your kids, so how would you know until someone tells you, or you see in the security camera, hidden cameras, that you see what's going on when other people are taking care of your children. So the best part for my advice is, if you are really involved in your children's life, if you really love them, you really care about them, and they are all in the world that mean to you, then you should put in the extra effort to watch them yourself. And be careful who you let watch your kids. Like I said, even your closest family members, you don't know how they're going to babysit your kids when you're not around. They may be an angel to you, but then behind your back they're neglecting them. They may be hitting them when it's unnecessary, or disciplining them too much where it becomes overboard. I mean, you really don't know. If you're really concerned, then you make sure you have security cameras around. You make sure you talk to your children about abuse, and make sure you communicate to your children about them giving you feedback. How's the babysitter? What did you do today? Did the babysitter yell at you? Did the babysitter smoke in the home? Did they do drugs? Did they drink alcohol? What did they do? Did they molest you? Did they touch you a weird, awkward way? Did they beat you up? Did they swear at you? You know, did they hit you and slap you around, pull your hair? What did they do to you? Make sure you really communicate to your kids, especially as they get older. They're gonna start knowing how to speak. They're gonna know how to have their own thoughts. They're gonna have emotions involved that could mess up their whole lives up to adulthood if they go through a lot of abuse at a young age by being molested or being bullied or being beaten, or, you know, or just having adults doing drugs around them. You never know. So if you're really concerned about your children, then you need to really be there for them and know what's going on in their lives. And as parents, we have to take full responsibility and just take the extra effort that you have to as a parent to protect them and take care of them. Yes, there will be times when the children have to be disciplined because they're getting out of control. They're trying to step all over you, trying to step all over your authority. And the important part are the parents. They are the guidance to their children. So, you know, just things like, you know, common sense wise, if parents smoke and drink in the home, there's a likely chance that one or maybe some or maybe all the children might grow up to think that smoking and drinking is a normal thing to do. And like I said, not everyone is going to be responsible 100% of the way. You know, what if they get older, they become alcoholics, or they drink here and there, they get in a car accident, they run over somebody, they kill someone, or maybe some other person driving behind the wheel run them over because of a DUI. I mean, it's a long story, it's a big headache, right? So whatever you do at home, the kids will learn from that. So I know it's tough, you know, it's hard for life to be perfect and flawless, but do the best you can as parents, and that's all we could say. You know, if you eat healthy, then pretty much your children will eat healthy because you're the one providing the shelter, the food, and clothing. So the food situation, if you're gonna eat healthy, pretty much the kids will eat healthy. And if you don't smoke and drink in front of your children, or don't smoke and drink at all, then that's even better for your children to see that my parents don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't do that around me, you know? Because whatever you do in front of them, it will definitely influence them in some way. But it's still their choice to grow up as adults to figure out if they want to follow that path, or they want to be something better than that, or be something different than that. So like when as a child myself, my dad always always got himself to drink hard liquor. He was always smoking in the home. And my family side had 6 children. I'm the youngest one. And I never, luckily, got into the smoking cigarette situation or doing drugs. Luckily, I was never much of a drinker, and luckily I could just quit drinking completely because Freddie does not like drinking at all and doesn't want me to drink at all. So that's fine. I was never much of a drinker anyways when we met. So getting rid of alcohol is completely fine with me. It's no big deal, you know? It's not even good for you anyways. And people say, drink in moderation, it's good for you. Okay, whatever, you know? But for me, I choose not to drink. It's no big deal to me. I'd rather eat something healthier than alcohol, than to drink alcohol. So, and you know, child abuse, the child abuse list goes on. And if you want to see some more horrible situation, you could always go type in child abuse. On YouTube, you can see a lot of child abuse videos that were caught on camera, so it could really break your heart. I've seen some videos that made me cry. It's really heartbreaking and sad, you know. But you decide how far you want to go to watch those videos online. But, you know, child abuse is very broad, so I've just said pretty much a bit of everything, as much as I could think of at this moment. If you want more information, you could always pull up child abuse online and read about articles and watch videos online. And you know, this is a good question to share with everybody. Thanks so much to the person who asked me this question. This person has been just very supportive of Freddie's Modern Kung Fu, my husband's channels. My husband has 4 channels, and his channels are listed under my description below my video. I've only posted 2 of his channels, okay? So you can check that out if you like. And you know, thanks again to this wonderful person who had sent me great questions. And they're great questions to help other viewers that come to my channel, and they can learn as well. So we're all learning together and being very supportive, so that's a great thing. And you know, thank you so much for watching my videos and just loving the videos, and thanks for asking me questions and feeling comfortable to come to me for that, okay? Thanks so much and have a great day.